Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Kai, and you guys are watching Code with Kai. So today we are going to talk about the dark side of the open source software that no one tells you, and let's just get started. So I'm going to talk about three projects, and before that, let me just, if you don't understand what an open source software is, open source software basically means free to use, free to modify. That is what I mean by open source. If some software is open source, I mean you can use it for your use case in your projects, in company's project, anywhere you can use it and you should use it. And that is what simply open source actually meant few years back. But right now we have a different kind of licenses that companies, people have created, and custom licenses in fact. So it's no longer true, to be fair. But still it is what it is, and 90% of the companies around the world still rely on open source software for their use case, and they heavily rely on these. And without open source, we do not, I don't think so software development is even practical in today's term. So that's the good side of open source, that 90% of people are using. But there is also a bad side of this, that is, let's talk about DiceDB, for instance. So this was the project that was created by Arpit Bayani, DiceDB. And let's just get back, let's just go to its GitHub repository. And so there are 224 contributors in this particular project. But when Arpit Bayani left, these 224 people didn't actually contribute to this project anymore, because he actually made it in the read only state. So it's no longer even under development. So let's just go back and see Arpit Bayani's track record. To be honest, uh, he's a really great software engineer. I really respect this guy. So Arpit Bayani. And if you go back and see, he's a staff engineer at Google Memory Cloud Store. So those of you who don't know what DiceDB is, DiceDB is basically a better version of Redis they were trying to create. And they were successful, to be honest, at a really great instance. Not a lot of bugs that, in the entire repository. And I was actually following DiceDB for a long time because of Arpit Bayani, because I watched his course and I was pretty impressed by his course, and thus I was following DiceDB, the what he was creating. And when I heard that the DiceDB is no longer under development, I was like, one more project that died. So he has a great track record. He's a staff engineer at Google. He was in an academy, and he was a software developer at Amazon as well. So any guy who's going to make Redis better, this was the guy we wanted. And he actually led DiceDB for quite a while. Then, due to his personal reasons, this guy left. I totally understand that. I'm not saying that was a incorrect decision. I'm just saying that, for think about those 224 contributors who were contributing to that project, and suddenly they realize that one fine day that next day onwards this project is going to die. And it's not a really good state to be honest. And I think we all should agree on that key. If you are contributing to an open source software, it should be a great and meaningful project, and backed by some people, to be honest, not just one guy. So that tells you that if you want to contribute to a meaningful project, and let's and try to avoid projects which are backed by a single guy. Because there was one more project that I feel like this, which was Faker.js. Faker.js was created by one guy, I believe. If you go back, there was this whole Faker.js drama. If you don't know, you he this software was open source, and he was actually irritated by community, I guess. And this guy actually one fine day decided that he no longer want to make his software open source, and he deleted that package from npm. And people were actually dependent upon this package to generate a mock stuff. That is, the Faker.js used to generate mock data, and people were actually using it. Some large organizations were using those stuff. And when the Faker.js got deleted, they were impacted. Their builds were impacted due to it. Probably failed. So let's just get back to where we were. DiceDB. So DiceDB went down, and there was the next thing that we all know about HashiCorp. That what they really did. So for those of you who do not understand what HashiCorp is, let's just go back to HashiCorp Terraform. So Terraform GitHub. Let's just go back to GitHub and see what kind of license they do have right now. If you go down and see the license, they have business source license. What is a business source license? So this license is definitely not an open source license. And earlier it was some different license, but they updated it 2 years ago. Let's just go back to the history and see. Yeah, they update license, update license, update license. Yeah, update change log, unreleased. So they actually changed their license from one to another, and I don't really know what happened with HashiCorp, to be honest. But I definitely know that there was some kind of license shift, and the project became the project of earlier it was open source, and right now it is closed source. So now it has a business license. It's like that. So HashiCorp is also one thing that people were contributing, like 1700, 1800 people were contributing to this particular Terraform project. And those of you who don't know what Terraform is, basically it allows you to simplify your backend deployments to AWS or any kind of infrastructure. Wherever you want to deploy, it will just do it in a easier manner and automated manner. You do not have to worry about anything else. So this was Terraform. 1877 developers contributing, and these people are still contributing. I guess because I see the contributions. This is back. Yeah, last week there are some changes 2 days ago. Definitely, this project is still alive, but again, people earlier were contributing to HashiCorp, which was open source. Right now, HashiCorp Terraform is closed source. So these people, I don't know how many are there still contributing, but right now it's a closed project. So let's just talk about the third and final project in this video. That is the Haiku animator. So what Haiku was trying to do is so we have this thing called as Lottie animations and Lottie files, and they're pretty complex to make. And once, even if you make Lottie animations, this file size is pretty high in nature, and it's not suitable for web, to be fair. And for the same reason, we there was this team called as Haiku. They were trying to create their own animation engine. They created their own animation engine. So their whole idea was to create animations, and those animations can be converted to code, directly to code. I mean, the React code, JavaScript code, CSS code, whatever you want, it will be converted to that. And one fine day, they decided to pull off the plugs from this particular project. And why this project is actually important to me is because in my old org, we were having a lot of trouble with designing animations, because we used to spend 5 days 7 days on one particular animation, and still those animations were not perfect. And if we had this kind of tool there, it could have been a lifesaver for us, to be fair. And I was actually researching this project out, and one fine day I found out that this project is no longer supported. And they were, before the release of this project, that they were going to release the binary version of this project, but they decided to pull the plug off. And this was also an open source project. Haiku animation goes open source. If you can go, this is an open source project right now. You can visit the website, you can see the source code, and a lot of people were contributing to this particular project as well. So there were 11 people, and across different teams were contributing to this particular project. And this tells me that there is a good side of open source, that if you contribute to a good community, you add value. But if you contribute to a project which is going to die, or which you don't know is going to die, and which is owned by some kind of business, then things might be not in your favor. That you contributed thinking that you contributed to help out the community, but your project instead got closed source, your project instead got dead. Of course, this is not true for 99% of the projects, but there is always a chance that wherever you contribute, that contribution might not go well. So that is the thing with DiceDB, Terraform, and Haiku Animator. I just wanted to point out that, of course, there is a good side of open source, but of course there is also a bad side of open source that we should be aware of, and we should think from time to time that it exists and we should not forget it. So that is it for the video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.